On December 11th, 28 liberators from Agana Field, Guam, hit Iwo Jima. The almost daily bombing of this major bombing base had been climaxed 3 days before when a joint naval air effort had saturated the island with 1,000 tons of bombs. However, by the 11th, all but one runway appeared to have been repaired. On this raid, each plane dropped 9 500-pound bombs to guarantee additional overtime repair work. Runways and revetment areas were hit. Heavy flak damaged several libs. On December 15th, 31 Guam-based liberators passed an active volcano in the Mariana Chain en route to Iwo. Phosphorus shells and ack-ack damaged 7 libs. 1 Jap fighter was shot down. Over 300 tons were dropped on Iwo's airfields during this week when on December 17th and 19th, considerably larger forces of heavy bombers returned. Jap fighters, never more than 4 at a time, always met our planes, but not aggressively. However, intense anti-aircraft fire was reported. Homebound landmark near Iwo was the Minami volcano. On December 27th, another large-scale coordinated naval air attack was directed against Iwo. 47 liberators, escorted by about 75 Lightnings, spotted targets for our surface force, which effectively shelled the island for the second time since December 7th. Flak and phosphorus bombs caused minor damage as the planes dropped 295 500-pounders on the airfields. Some delayed action bombs dropped by preceding squadrons exploded on target as successive groups made their runs. 1 to 5 hour delay bombs were also used. 2 or 3 Jap planes were destroyed on the ground, 1 just after takeoff. After these bombings, our cruisers and destroyers bombarded Iwo's installations for an hour and a half. Clear weather produced good results for the combined strike. On December 29th, the Mariana-based liberators were again over Iwo as they had been all night long. A single raider going in every 43 minutes to drop a total of 75 tons. This day, one of the 15 attacking libs completed its run with an engine smoking. A number of enemy aircraft on runways and in revetments were believed destroyed. Enemy fires slightly wounded 2 officers and gave 4 planes minor damage. Liberators continued to hit Iwo, some days 2 and 3 times, to keep it effectively neutralized. "24 B-24s flew from Morotai to Jesselton, terminus of Borneo's only rail line on the northwest coast, on December 17th. The liberators were given P-38 cover, and rendezvous was made about an hour before reaching the target. Expected enemy interception produced only 3 Jap fighters, all of which were shot down. The target, the Jap air base at Jesselton, was effectively bombed. This field, thought to be a Jap staging area, has 2 runways which were to be destroyed. Bombing from 10,000 feet, the libs claimed 15 enemy planes destroyed on the ground, bearing out the previous report of snooper planes that Jap air activity had been observed at this field. On December 20th, Angawa-based heavies attacked convoy-threatening enemy airfields in the Visayan Islands group of the Philippines as the invasion of Mindoro enters its 5th day. 24 liberators struck against Lahug Airdrome on Cebu Island. Carrying 9 500-pounders each, the planes came over the target at 10,000 feet, smashing at Lahug's dispersal areas with excellent results. Early the following day, open airdrome on Mactan Island was under attack by 24 more B-24s. Mactan, a small island just east of Cebu, had been bombed many times before, and its airfield runway had already been well neutralized. The target for the 9 500-pounders carried by each plane was an area 2,000 by 500 feet in the southwest corner of open airdrome, where barracks and installations had been camouflaged in high shrubbery along the taxiways. To ensure a percentage of hits, a widespread bombing pattern was used with intervalometers set to release bombs 75 feet apart. The plan was successful. Fires were observed as well as other signs of destruction. Ack was meager and inaccurate, and all planes returned safely to base. A new target, Carolina Airfield on Negros Island, was hit by the liberators on the 22nd as these attacks continued. 100-pound bombs rained on planes and installations in camouflaged areas. In spite of all these attacks, Jap air activity against our shipping in the Mindoro area continued, but no important damage was reported. Enemy airstrips in the Netherlands East Indies are attacked. On December 29th, 12 B-25s of the 5th Air Force, each carrying 12 100-pound para-demolition type bombs, struck at the city airstrip near Amarang Bay in northeast Celebes. Their mission? To bomb and straf Saadati's supply and dispersal areas. Coming in over the target, the mediums launched their attack from an altitude of 75 feet. Ground opposition consisted of machine gun and 20mm anti-aircraft fire. Planes wheel into a single file formation for a final run over the area. No air opposition was encountered and all planes returned safely. Tenth Air Force P-47s carried out widespread attacks as Allied teamwork forced new Jap withdrawals in Burma. This strike on Mogok, enemy forward supply base, came on January 4th as hard-fighting Chinese troops battled to open the Lido-Burma route into China. The area was demolished and practically every building was set ablaze. On the same day, other 10th Air Force Thunderbolts flew against Mankat, north of Mogok, to drop 325-pound depth charges on camouflaged enemy troops and supplies. Allied pressure against the Jap was mounting rapidly. The day before, Akyab, biggest Burmese port west of Rangoon, had fallen to British and Indian forces. And as the 10th Air Force continued to burn Jap installations, further enemy retreat seemed imminent. On January 10th, bomb-carrying Thunderbolts struck at Borgio to wreck a railroad bridge over which Jap supplies were being moved. Direct hits with 500-pound general-purpose bombs tore up the bridge, tracks, and rail bed. This strike, to block movement of enemy reinforcements, came as Chinese troops closed on Nam Khan, Jap stronghold barring Allied use of the Lido Road. Again on the following day, 10th Air Force fighters, in coordination with Chinese troops, attacked Kongka. Japs defending the area were well entrenched. Battling Chinese troops were suffering heavy casualties. 500-pounders and incendiaries rained on the enemy as P-47s bombed strong points and supply dumps. The same kind of teamwork occurred on January 14th, when Jap forces stalled advancing British troops near Mabien. The air-supplied British column had been forced to rout out the enemy yard by yard in the stiffest resistance yet encountered in the campaign for Mandalay. The Thunderbolts used bombs and bullets to smash the concealed bunkers from which the Japs were fighting. By week's end, close inter-allied cooperation had further buckled the enemy's position in Burma. Nam Khan was taken by Chinese troops. British and Indian forces continued their advance on Mandalay, and 10th Air Force P-38s had smashed the Lashio-Mandalay rail line, cutting off Jap forces in northeast Burma from a vitally needed line of supply and retreat. The following week, Thaydor airstrip, 20 miles south of Mandalay, was blasted by 10th Air Force heavies. This raid on January 18th was made in conjunction with British ground forces closing on Mandalay from the north. 32 B-24s dropped 256 1,000-pound bombs to smash this vital enemy target. The Japs had been using Thaydor as a fighter base from which to attack Allied ground troops and the air transports which supplied them. The bomb run was made at 6,000 feet. Ack was light and only medium accurate. No plane was damaged. All week long, heavy bombers smashed at Jap airfields as advancing Allied forces gathered momentum. By the 21st, Chinese troops had stormed into the border towns of Wanting and Muzay to clear the last of the enemy forces blocking the Lido Road route. As the Jap retreated south from Wanting, American troops of the Mars Task Force slashed at his flanks. The clearing of the Lido Road underlined Burma's importance as the gateway through which American supplies must flow from India to the China front, and highlighted the giant task of the service troops upon whom movement of these vital supplies must depend. On the same day the Lido Road was opened, heavy bombers participated in the British invasion of Ramri Island. A pre-invasion barrage was laid along the coast by units of the British Navy. 8 minutes after landings began, 30 B-24s each dropped 52 100-pound fragmentation clusters on enemy strong points a mile inland from the beach. The attack, made in conjunction with British heavies, was extremely effective. The area was well covered with hits, and little enemy resistance was encountered afterwards by Allied landing forces. Seizure of Ramri Island, 50 miles south of Akyab, provides the Allies with a base for airfields flanking South Burma and places the enemy's port at Taungoup in a precarious position. At January's close, the enemy situation steadily grew worse as free Allied nations continued to strike powerful combined blows against Jap fascism wherever they could find it.